Hi everybody, it's Martin from the Washboard Resonators. I have two 1930s National Trojan guitars. Let's hear them and let's compare them. So for a short time, I've got these two guitars in the house. I thought I'd make a video where I just first of all compare them and get you to vote on which one you think sounds the best. And then what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of history about these guitar models, why the construction methods might make them sound different. And I think it should make a nice little video for all you people that are interested in 1930s national guitars. So first up, I'm going to cover up the screen, play both guitars, and I'd like just to get your comments and if you think guitar A or B sounds the best. So first up, guitar A. Now guitar B. Guitar A. So guitar B. There we go then. So hopefully you can hear a difference. Do pop in the comments below whether you preferred guitar A or guitar B. I will reveal it very, very shortly. And you know what? I'm now going to talk a little bit about National Trojans. You know what? They were the cheapest guitar in the National Guitar line through the 30s. I think they're much maligned. I think they're sweet little things. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about the history, why the construction method makes a difference, and hopefully it'll be of interest. So the story of these instruments starts somewhere around late 1933. So National was looking to make a cheaper model than what was already their cheaper model, which was the Duolian. They wanted to go a little bit cheaper. So they decided to make a wood body, and they decided to make a 14 fret neck join. So the first guitar that they brought out was called a Raitt, and a Raitt was basically similar to this 35 Trojan. But they had like a kind of weird kind of F-hole situation, kind of like a cathedral lyre kind of look. And then very quickly they brought out in 34, they brought out what they called a Trojan with these more standard F-holes. And the very first ones were made with, in the National Factory, with normal Duolian necks. They were made with what was called a partial neck stick, and this is where I think we're going to start revealing the construction of these guitars. So National guitars, any National guitar, it could be a Triolean, a tricone, a stylo, they all have what's called a neck stick, and what happens is the neck is made with this stick that slots through the hole in the body, screws to the end pin, and then they put some what are called mushrooms, which are like little circular wooden discs with a little wooden stanchion that sort of squeezes under that neck stick, and what it does is it kind of keeps that neck in place. It joins the neck stick to the back of the body, and I think it just makes the guitar resonate really, really nicely. Some people might call that neck stick a perch pole. You see them on like banjos. That's how banjos are constructed. So the very first ones were made in the National Factory in California with what was called a partial neck stick. So the neck stick only went part way through. It didn't join up. And then the neck was screwed in the usual way where they would screw through the body, just unlike this, say this stylo here. What you'll see is that there's some dots here. Under those dots are screws holding the neck in place. So the very first ones were made like that. Then they realised they wanted to make them cheaper. The bodies were being made by Harmony out of the factory. And so what National opted for was to actually have the bodies and the necks made by Harmony, and then they would fit their own National cover plates and things. But to make it even cheaper, they decided to make a what's called a dovetail joint, and a dovetail joint is what you get on any standard acoustic. You think of a harmony, you think of a K guitar, you think of a Martin guitar, a Gibson guitar. They have a what's called a dovetail joint. Now they're hard to get right, but on cheap guitars you can just basically fudge them and shove them in, and that is how this guitar, the Trojan, the earlier Trojans, came to be. So this one has the dovetail joint. You'll see there's no dots where there's any screws that hold the body in. Then it literally just squeezes into that joint, to that hole, gets glued in, and that's it. Now everybody kind of reckons that these Trojans are the worst sounding of the Nationals, these dovetail joint ones. So this is my 1935, and this was guitar B in the comparison just now. Now what I find with these kind of guitars with the plywood bodies is, yeah, if you compared this to, say, a high quality wood body National, so like the very early Triolian guitars had wood bodies that were good quality, the El Trovadors had good quality wood bodies, Estrelitas had good quality wood bodies. These more kind of cheaper plywood guitars with the dovetails, by comparison, they're probably a little quieter, and they tend to like mush a little bit, especially in the bass. Like when you play bass frequencies on them, they tend to sort of mush and compress. But you know what? I think this guitar sounds great. I actually had work done on this by Steve Evans at Beltona Instruments. He rebuilt it. And I think it's loud, it's warm, it's plunky, it's bluesy. I think it's really nice. When you play it with a slide, it's quite a reverberant guitar. You know, it's very kind of alive. I think it's a really nice sounding guitar. So that kind of gives you an idea of where they were going with these things. Now, at some point, I think it was around 1937, if you're wanting more information, do buy the Mark Making book, which will tell you exactly the month probably that they changed design. I think it was around 37. Around 37, National were now based in Chicago, and they had some more. Let me put this strap on, because I'm borrowing this guitar. I'll tell you the story in a little bit. They changed the design of the Trojan. What you'll see is it now goes to having a solid headstock. It has a much more nipped-in waist. It has this kind of pretend wood grain finish applied to it. This guitar is a 1939, and this one has a neck stick construction. So for some reason, I guess they could do it in budget and still sell these out at $37. You know, which is about, in today's money, 2022. These sold new for about $400 in today's money, as just to give you an idea of like what these things cost. You know, relatively affordable for a decent instrument. These could be sent out of the factory with the neck stick construction, just like all the other Nationals. And what the neck stick construction is meant to do is obviously you're meant to have, that neck stick is meant to, with the mushrooms, is meant to join the back to the neck stick to the top. You should get a more direct, a sort of stronger sound. And I think that's the case. So obviously this is guitar A. Now, this guitar has got very new strings on it. I just bought this from Jim Murray up in the northeast of England, who is great. Check out his band, the Hokum Hotshots. And this is going to a friend of mine, Rich Miller, who was trying to source a guitar for a friend of his. So I've kind of ended up being the middleman. So this guitar's come from Jim's with some new strings on it. So you'll hear a little bit more brightness. But what you should hear is this guitar, just generally, it's kind of a bit more balanced. It's less flubby in the bass. The bass is a little bit, there's a bit more of an edge to it. Doesn't compress as much as the other one. And then the top end is very nice. The middle's very kind of well observed. So I don't know if you can hear that, but you know what? I think they're both marvellous guitars, actually, in different ways. They've both got something about them, a voice, and a great voice. And I think they're both fantastic, you know, blues machines, roots music machines. So you've probably seen people like Bonnie Raitt playing one of these guitars with a pickup on, making it sound really nice. That guy from the Reverend Payton from the Big Damn Band, for a long time he was playing a similar guitar to this. Great guitars. I have a Highlander pickup in this one because I have Highlander pickups in my stage guitars that I use with the washboard resonators and lead city stompers. And every now and then something goes wrong with the instrument, or something needs fixing, or it needs a fret job. So I have a Highlander put into this. So if anything goes down with my stage guitars, this can just fit right in. And it on last November's 2021 tour, I had a problem and took this straight out for the week on one of the tours, and it was fantastic. Got a lot of nice comments actually about the live sound of this wood guitar with the Highlander plugged into a PA. This one, like I say, it's very nice condition actually, and I've picked this up from my pal, and wow, I mean, it's the first time I've played one of these later ones, and I must admit, I found myself really been impressed by it. Like really been impressed. And I think in many ways these later Trojans are one of the sleepers in the kind of vintage and resonator guitar marketplace. Like I really think that, like, if you're looking for a good quality, relatively affordable vintage resonator, you couldn't go far wrong with one of these that's been set up right. So this one too was worked on by Steve Evans of Beltona Instruments, just like the other one was. So that's quite a fair comparison. He's popped the neck off, rebuilt it, sorted the frets out, you know, made the note just right. This one plays like butter. It's kind of crazy. It's got the original cone in it. So there we go. Look, very spectacular guitar. Now I've talked a lot there, but I'm hoping that this is really one for the nerds. If this is of interest, this video, and you like to see this kind of stuff more, then do subscribe to the channel. We're always doing videos about blues music and blues guitars. So you can subscribe down below. If you click on the little triangle thing, there's links down there to buying us a coffee, music, podcast links when we interview people. There's just loads of stuff down there that you can click on and you can just find out. So do you know what? That really helps us as the band, the Washboard Resonators. It really helps us spread the word. And join the mailing list. That's the best thing you can do. That is the biggest support. And thank you for now, everybody. So my name is Martin, and I do hope that this little rundown of National Trojan guitars and the build types has been of interest. Bye-bye for now.